Okay, we're finally connected to the match. So this is a King of the Hill match, best of three, so we'll see what happens in the match. Cucho is the current reigning king. Won his last match, I think that might have been against Zed. I will see how it goes. I've not really been too lucky. I've had some close matches, but it can be come down to the luck of the draw. But I mean, there have been some matches where I probably have not played optimally, and of course, you can get punished for that in these highly competitive matches. So we'll see. I'm playing a black-white control, so as ever in duels, getting decent draw. So the mulligan there was useful to get a decent second hand that's playable with some good options. So the idea for me would be to try and get my early gifted Aetherborn and start doing damage and gaining life, and then use the control elements that will come in later in the game to try and control Cucho's board. I suspect he's probably playing quite a fast deck, so it may come down to who is quicker. I've certainly found recently on the ladder that there's a lot of aggro, and as much for just time efficiency, um, I tend to play aggro as well, because at least if the matches don't go your way, you're spending a smaller amount of time actually actively involved in the match, rather than just wasting time. So I've got my first creature in the board. He's playing black-red, so things like Twin Bolt and that, Fiery Temper would work. Um, he's got a Smuggler's Copter. I do run removal in this deck, Anguished on making, for example. So what I'll do is I'll take a tempo off to get the tap land out for now, and I will swing. And again, this is I don't normally do this with commentary. I normally just let the game play. So if I go quiet, it's because I'm trying to make sure I don't do any misplays. Um, I've got good removal, so for the minute, although arguably I could have brought the thing online, but I'll be happy to take a hit of 3 from the copter, because I'll get life gain. So yeah, he's crewing it with scrap heap. So I'm going to be taking 3 damage there, and he'll obviously be able to loot. But I can anguish and again in this deck, and that having the life gain from the Aetherborn means that the damage I take from the anguished doesn't generally gets offset by the life gain. You'll also see I've got a Angel of Invention also with life gain potentially coming online. So he's looted the land, so he must have something better in his hand. I think the copter can be very handy because it can looting allows you to dump excess land in your hand, which so what we will do is we will anguish the copter. That's just going to get a pain longer term. I get rid of it, and I will swing to replace the life. Okay, so he's playing a graveyard return, so Lightning Axe comes out, playing for Madness. He's discarded Zarakari Zev, which is interesting, but we will see. For now, and of course I have my Shambling Vent as well, so despite the fact he's got rid of, he's casting Infectious Bloodlust, so it's a good target for my removal with a bit of value. He's obviously doing 5 damage, so, and of course it will exile the scrap heap, which is useful, so that he doesn't come back. So as I said, he's playing aggro. The good thing is he's top decking now, and I'm going to be removing his threat. There's different options I could use for that actually. Rather than give him a card draw, I can cast out. So I will cast out Okay, so the enchantment goes. So we've both got an empty board, but he's top decking, and I can bring Angel of Invention online. He's got the neonate, so obviously when I bring Angel of Invention, I will cast it with tokens, which will obviously negate his menace. So I create 2 Cerebral creatures, pass the turn. I've got removal in hand and I've got card draw as well now, so for now, unless he's going to come up with something significant from his graveyard for the type of deck that he's playing, yeah, nothing happening there. I put in this deck different cards, so it's a token theme. Gets rid of his menace creature, which is fine, not that it was that big a threat. He's going to use it to draw, yeah, sacrificing it to draw a card, which is its ability. It obviously helped to draw him out of trouble, but I'll swing, gives me some health back, and it's obviously with the aggro deck. So as I said, the intention of this black-white deck, it has quite a bit of life gain. You know, between the Shambling Vents and the Aetherborns, and I think I have Kalitas in this deck as well, so it does generate a heck of a lot of opportunity to do life gain. He's obviously playing an aggro deck, so he's conceded that first game, which is fine. So what I'll do is, rather than waste time, well, actually what I'll do is I'll play it out, but no, I won't. I'll cancel concede, but obviously that's a win to me, so good to get one on the board. At least I have an idea what his deck is doing, and I thought that given that I expected him to play control, aggro, based on the posting the other, yeah. So Kryptonite, quite right, Cucho. Let's have a go to game 2. So invite him again. So again, this, you see, obviously when you've played your first match, he'll come up in recent, so it makes it easier just to select. So you can add okay, I can put a comment there so we know we're going into game 2. Send the invite. Again, as I was saying earlier, the matches come down to how clever you are at the draw. My first hand was not very good, 1 land. The second hand was near perfect. I could get the early life gain out, and I had enough land. In some cases, in that particular game, having too much land was a benefit because it allowed me to get the Angel of Invention out with tokens, and then of course the extra land also meant that putting down the token threat was also useful. So yeah, I don't think there was much he could do. He obviously had fast. He's got removal. He packed removal. He dealt a fair bit of damage, but of course this is why I wanted to run this black and white control, because it does have a lot of control elements. So I think even in the early games, if I start falling behind with aggro, once the control elements take over the game, there's good ways of getting life back and being able to control the board. So it's quite a nice deck. It's still on the ladder. It's probably had about 50-50. So despite it being fairly good with a lot of components and that, there's just such a variety of directs in the ladder. So although I played a few matches on it, I was constantly winning one, losing one. So for now, I've changed to playing a more aggro deck, which again is going through a similar pattern: win one, lose one, but the matches are happening quicker, and I think it tends to give me a bit more. Okay, so he's sent the invite this time. It seems to be. Also, that connection didn't work. Okay, we'll have to see. I'll try and send that connection again. This is one of the frustrations that we can have with trying to play IOS matches. I mean, I know that people have it in other platforms, but it can seem to be quite problematic. So it said he's connecting. I had this issue with Zed. We played in a previous King of the Hill match, the one prior to him playing with Cucho. We managed to get 2 games. The match went 1-1, 1 each, and then it was just, irrespective of trying multiple times, restarting, etc., etc., over and over, it was just impossible to connect for the decider. So I hope that doesn't happen here, given that I've gone 1 up. I think in the match with Zed I went 1 down, and then in the second match pulled it back to go 1-1. But we never got to play the third match. Right, I'm going to cancel this for now.